The U.S. economy added 372,000 new jobs in the month of June, outpacing the estimated 272,000 mark that economists had initially projected.
The unexpected boost in hiring confirmed the job market remains robust despite recession fears. The unemployment rate held steady at 3.6%. The monthly jobs report also shows there are roughly 2 posted job openings for every unemployed worker.
And joining us now to talk more about it is CBS News reporter Sarah Ewall-Wice. Sarah, welcome. Great to have you with us. So the jobs market is still proving to be robust despite so many fears about recession that are floating out there. So what else can you tell us about this report?
Yes, outside economists, the White House, and some officials at the Fed all reacting that this is a strong jobs report out this morning. With that number, we're similar to the averages we've seen over the past 3 months of the number of jobs added in the United States. So we're seeing some moderate cooling, but nothing to be alarmed about, and that's actually expected. At the same time, the 3.6 unemployment rate, that is actually the unemployment rate that we've seen since March. So we've seen the same unemployment rate over the past few months. We saw some labor force participation uptick in previous months. Labor force participation actually ticked down ever so slightly last month, so that is something to keep an eye on moving forward. The unemployment rate among men and women is 3.3% for both, so that has leveled off after we saw women losing jobs at a greater rate, more women leaving the workforce early on in the pandemic. But keep in mind, women actually had a lower unemployment rate than men prior to the pandemic, so that is also something to keep a close eye on moving forward as more women return to work and become employed again.
Now, labor force participation, as we understand it, fell for prime age workers, according to the report. But more Americans applied for unemployment benefits last week. What does that mean when demand for workers is growing, but the supply isn't there?
Yes, we are looking at a ton of different numbers coming in and trying to make sense of all of those numbers. Initial unemployment claims actually were at the highest level since January last week. But that is something that economists are not too concerned about. I think if it ticks up further, there'll be more concerns, but they're keeping a close eye on that. But what we do know is that there were 11.3 million job openings in May. There have been more than 11 million job openings over the past 6 months. So that number has remained high. But at the same time, we're seeing more people returning to the workforce. So there's a question of alignment. Is there an alignment issue here with matching people with the job openings available? One place where we saw a number of job postings drop was actually in professional and business services in May. And that means people who work in service jobs like lawyers, people who work in administrative jobs, people who work with computers, that type of workforce. So that actually, those job openings dropped slightly in May. In the unemployment report we saw this morning, we saw the number of jobs gained there high at 74,000. But at the same time, if you look at other areas of the economy, there's not so much going on. We saw the number of retail jobs were the highest in the job opening numbers from May. If we saw retail, we also look at hospitality, leisure, there are high job openings there. And if you look at the unemployment report today, something that was pointed out to me is mostly across the board, we saw the unemployment number coming down. But if you look specifically at workers who have less than a high school education, that unemployment number actually ticked up. And something that businesses have told me time and time again in recent months is they're struggling to find workers that they believe are qualified for the jobs. So it's a real question of who are these workers that these businesses are looking for and who they consider qualified, because there could be some alignment issues still moving forward.
Oh, wow, that's a mouthful.
Definitely.
Sarah,
yeah, so many numbers.
So many numbers, but you helped to bring it into context for us. Sarah Ewall-Wice, we really appreciate you. Thank you.
Of course.